Hello, this is Last Straw again, and I want to make a video on things that borderline personality people do that are strange or outside of the realm of what we do as normal people. And I always look at borderline personality disorder people as a species of human being. It doesn't sound nice when I say it out loud, but it's kind of true because they have their own ideals, they have their own way of doing things, especially if they have other diagnoses than just the borderline. But the first thing that comes out in my mind is they blame you for everything. They have to have somebody to blame. And this seems to come out especially if they're not in treatment. If they're in treatment, this kind of reduces, but it's your fault. If you had to, if you would have told me about this, it wouldn't have happened. Something you did made me do this. You were the one that made me mad. You were the one that caused this. It just goes on and on and on. They love to blame people for other things that happened to them. And when it's their fault for doing it, sometimes they even blame me for things that never even happened, but they think happened. And I've had that happen so many times that I've been apologizing for things that I never did so that I could have peace and quiet and so we could move on with our lives. But that's one thing that they do that is really strange. And my BPD has OCD also. So, two of the things that she has to do all the time is she has to leave every light in the house on, night lights included, and she has to have all the doors in the house open. She can't close a door to a room, it has to be open. And there's certain ways that she has to have things set, and her objects of decoration have to be set a certain way. She has more mild things that she does, like she has to close the curtains every night and open them in the morning. Those aren't so bad, but it's the other things, you have to have a cushion in the couch a certain way, and there has to be certain things on the table, and it can't be done a certain way. There has to be cabinets that have to have things setting a certain way. The things in the refrigerator have to be set with the labels pointing out or something like that so she can see them. And as I said, these things aren't so bad when she's in treatment or taking her medication. And another thing, she drives a lot. And I didn't think anything of that until I had read it somewhere that people with borderline personality disorder like to drive and drive and drive. And she has taken several trips across country uh, to go on vacations, and she's driven them and went by herself. But she seems to love to drive a lot. And when they get mad, uh, they seem to want to throw things at people. And not just tiny things, but, heavy things they want to throw at people. And that's kind of tough, too. Uh, they think that you're yelling at them over texting. Uh, I can text something to my daughter to suggest something, and she will test back that I'm yelling at her. When How can you yell when you're texting unless you put it in all caps? That's been an old method in the past. When someone wants to yell at somebody, they put everything in all caps. But she thinks I'm yelling at her if I suggest that she do something, to solve a problem. And if she doesn't want a problem solved in a certain way, then everything is impossible that you suggest. You could suggest, well, if you don't have any food in the house, go to the grocery store. Well, I can't go to the grocery store because I'm afraid to spend my food stamps. And the excuses just get endless because what she really wants is money to eat out, and she eats out as often as she possibly can. And she has to have her bed made a certain way. That's kind of like in her OCD. And speaking of diagnosis, she just recently got a new diagnosis called somatic symptom disorder. And that's not within the realm of what I'm talking about in borderline personality disorder, but I wanted to mention it because it is a disorder where the person really believes that they're in pain, but there's no evidence of it when they go get tested for it. This has put her in the emergency room a lot, and they haven't been able to find anything. The blood work comes back, the CT scans come back good, the blood work comes back good. If they do x rays, they're normal. MRIs come back normal. They can't find any evidence of the pain other than she says that she's in pain. And this new disorder that they diagnosed her with explains why she's in pain so much. And she still believes that, and she still takes painkillers for any pain that she might have. And she just doesn't ever quit. And she can one moment be in such agony she can't stand it, but if she wants to do something, she thinks of something that she needs or wants to do, she's totally out of pain and she can go and do whatever she wants to. And sometimes she enjoys exercising, but then sometimes the exercise can cause her pain in places where the exercise shouldn't have caused her pain. We all have a little bit of muscle aches and stuff after exercising, but hers is more over the top and in places that you wouldn't normally have the pain. But I won't mention where. You can decide that in your mind. Um, I also promised to recommend a couple of books that I thought might help with borderline personality disorder. And one of them would be for the partner or person that is dealing with these people. It was recommended to me, and I recommended it to you. And it's called the Anxiety Phobia Workbook. And let me show it to you. This is it. It might be backwards, I don't know. But this is the book. And it is by Edmund J. Bourne. Bourne is spelled Bourne, and he's a PhD. And this anxiety and phobia really helps you if you're dealing with a BPD person, because it's, as you know, is very, very difficult because they change their minds often. They do things that other people would normally do. Uh, they could want something really, really bad, and then the next day you wouldn't notice that they ever wanted this item or uh, thing that they want done. They'll forget totally about it, and they'll never mention it again. And that's one of the things that odd behavior that they do have. And they may even get mad about it that you haven't done this thing, or you haven't made this thing, or repaired this thing. And the next day it'll be like nothing happened. And the only thing that can happen is that they get into treatment so they can control this. And I personally recommend that you that are dealing with a BPD get a therapist that will help you deal with it, because it does really weigh on your emotions. Your emotions get frayed so bad that you need somebody to talk to, or you need somebody who understands. Luckily, I have a husband that has gone through this with me, and I also have a very good therapist that knows all about um, borderline personality disorder, and I'm able to talk to her about what my BPD does and should do. And there's another book that's really for the BPD, but I recommend it for people dealing with a BPD because it helps you understand what they are going through and how they think. Now, I'm sorry if these come out backwards because that's the way they film, but this is the book that I'm talking about, and it's DBT Skills Training Handbook and Workbook. The DBT is the training class that they're supposed to go to help them deal with the DBT. Or there's so many initials, I get them messed up. To help them deal with the borderline personality disorder diagnosis. And I got this because I thought that it might help me learn about the DBT skills, and maybe I could work with my daughter, and maybe in an anonymous way or something like that. And so far it's kind of helped me to help her, because in this deal you just need all the help you can get. I mean, it just, those who are dealing with it, you should know that it is tough. And if you're watching this video, I know you're looking for information and help to deal with this. And one thing I recommend that you do is that you take time out for yourself. You go get a spa treatment, you get a facial, go get your hair cut or washed or curled or whatever you like to do. Go shopping, maybe just to walk through the store. That helps me. If I can't afford to buy anything, I just walk through the store and window shop, as they used to call it. And it's a lot of fun to do, and it takes off the stress. And one weird thing I do to deal with my problems, you're going to think it's really strange, but I like to go get my car washed. And it's really nice to be able to drive through the car wash and have it scrubbed and everything. And a lot of people would think it's silly, but that's zen to me. And I get a clean car out of it too. And but those two things, the shopping and going and getting my car washed, are two things that really help me deal. And another thing is breathing techniques. Um, there is a technique where you can lay down on the bed, or you can sit in a recliner, or lay on the couch, anywhere that you could relax. Even if you lay down on the floor, if that's comfortable for you, then do it. And you hold your hands out, palms up, and relax your arms beside you. And then you picture from your toes on up to your head, relaxing every muscle along the way. And while you're doing this, you breathe in your nose and out your mouth. And this takes about 10 or 15 minutes to picture every muscle being relaxed throughout your body. And you think only of this technique. And as you do it, you don't think of anything else. You just clear your mind and relax. And as I said, it takes about 10 or 15 minutes to do, but it's worth it. It will relax you, and you won't have that fatigue that's winding up in you. And if you are starting to get stressed over something, you should go in and you should do this technique. And uh, you should do it at least twice a day, or during a stressful moment that you can get away. I know some stressful moments come on and there is no way to get away from them, but this really helps if you are under a lot of stress, which I don't know of a day that goes by that I'm not under stress and I'm not seeking somehow to get away from it. And even if you block off that person for a while, it helps. Recently, um, I blocked my phone from my daughter, and I blocked for about a week and a half because I needed a vacation from her. And luckily, she lives in another house, so I can do that. I know some of you live with your BPD, and I have. She lived with us until she was 42, which was last year. So she's only been on her own, living on her own, since September of last year. And that's not really very long, but it has helped a great deal. And I know that a lot of people can't afford to buy a house for their BPD, but that was the only way we could get. We looked into apartments, we looked into renting houses, and all of that was just so expensive. So the payment on a house is worth the person being on their own and being able to have a place where they can do what they want to with. And but to us that doesn't include distracting it either. We do have rules against that. And we've even hired a cleaning lady to come in and clean every week in case that she gets in a mood where she doesn't want to clean herself. And that's one thing that bathing, cleaning herself, reminded me. Uh, they don't always want to take a bath every day, and that's something that you have to encourage them to do. I used to do it well, I still do, by saying it will help you to relax. A nice hot bath will help you to relax, and you can lay there and contemplate. You don't necessarily have to be doing it to uh, wash yourself, but you can do it to contemplate things and think clearly. Just like the breathing exercises helps. Taking a nice warm bath, however temperature you like it, can help relax things because the warm water relaxes your body. I've had a cold recently. That's why I'm drinking a little bit of pop today because it keeps my mouth moist. But also, outside of blocking the phone, uh, if you do get to where you're talking to them again, keep everything superficial. Don't dig into big problems that they're having, because if you do, you're back where you started. And that's what I've done recently. I blocked my contact with my daughter because she texts me a lot during the day and during the night until I'm ready to go to sleep. And then I have to tell her I'm going to sleep now and I'm going to shut off my phone. Well, she got mad at me about a week and a half ago, and I just up and blocked her on my phone so that she couldn't communicate with me. And uh, I decided a day or so ago to unblock her, and talk to her. But I did it uh, to talk to her about superficial things such as, um, cleaning the house or cooking something or something like that. I didn't want to delve into deep problems that she might be having or anything like that. And since she was hospitalized a few days ago, and they have put her on new medication that seems to be really, really helping her. And she has been cleaning her own house and getting out more, and we have set new boundaries. Boundaries is something that is so important. You have to set limits on what they do, and they have to abide by them. Because if they don't abide by them, there's, it's going to ruin your relationship with them. And we set new boundaries now that she should buy her own personal items, and she should stop spending so much money on things she doesn't really need, that she should spend that money on things that she does need. And one thing that might help, despite their income, you might check into seeing if they can get on SSI, which is Social Security for disabled people, disability. And if go through a lawyer to do it, because I usually don't like to go through personally through Social Security because uh, they wind up turning you down. But try to go through a lawyer to sign them up for this disability, because borderline personality disorder is a disability in itself, and they may have other ways that, they may have other diagnoses that need to be addressed too. And she is bipolar, along with being with OCD and major depression. So we're hoping that this time around we filed for disability for her, and we're hoping this time around that she will get it, because she's never been in this shape before when she's applied for Social Security disability. And that's one thing that I recommend that you do, because they do have money coming in, and they can maybe start paying some bills. And what we do is we have our own house, but we pay for her bills that she has, like utilities and insurance and things like that. But we were trying to encourage her to buy things that she needs, like her personal items and like dishwashing soap and soap to wash with and detergents and things like that, because she was having us buy all that stuff for her. And it seems like I never make a video without my cuckoo clocks going off. But I hope you don't pay attention to them and you pay attention to me. And I just wanted to talk about all those things in this video and let you know that they do have odd behavior. And it can range from different things. I mean, as I said, getting angry one minute about something and forgetting all about it the next. And it drives you nuts. It does me anyway. Uh, and you start deciding, am I nuts? And you aren't nuts. You're being driven nuts. But the people with borderline personality disorder have a different way of thinking. And they've always got excessive needs. Our BPD comes up with a new need every day, what she calls a need, what we call a want, because she's always wanting something that she doesn't need. Like, for instance, lately she's wanted to have all of her outlets replaced in her house. And the outlets she has is good. They just need adapters. And that's another thing that she needs to realize. Another cuckoo clock, I'm sorry. I guess I should change different times to make my videos. But anyway, getting back to bad behavior or odd behavior, uh, one thing I had mentioned in another video is they sometimes have grandiose ideas about themselves, and they think they can do things a lot better than everybody else, but they won't try. And I was asking her one day if she would like to put in her own door locks, and she said, "Oh, yeah, I can do that," but she never has done it, and I don't think she really knows how. And imagine her dad will probably wind up doing them himself because that's the way it usually goes. And there's just, the anger phases is the worst, I think, as I mentioned in my last video. When they get angry about something, it may be a minute thing. It may be so small that it seems like it doesn't matter, but it matters so much to them that they're willing to make your life miserable over it. And my daughter's not like that, but I have heard of people saying they have to have meals for their spouse on time, or they get mad and, withdraw or get violent. And there's different things to do, but I'm not an expert in the field of marriage, even though that I've been married almost 44 years. Um, I would say that if you can't control your BPD spouse, it's best that you break all ties with them, because um, it is just going to ruin you even more, and it's going to drag you down. And being separated from them would probably be the best thing to do. As I said, I'm not an expert, and you might, if you have a therapist, talk to your therapist about it. And if there's children involved, uh, always fight for your children. Don't let the BPD have visitations where they're not supervised. And you know them better than I do, so you know what to do in this position. And it is a very serious position to be in when you're in a marriage or partnership, that you think of the children and the pets and everything, because I know some BPDs are cruel to pets. Now, mine isn't. Mine loves pets. She just adores pets. She adores animals, which is lucky, because I've heard of some that abuse pets and abuse them to the point of death. And that's really, really sad to me, but I recommend that if you are going to separate from your partner or your spouse, uh, that you demand that you take the kids and the pets with you, and let them have visitation supervised to where they don't take them away from where you're at, that you have a meeting place that is safe for the kids and safe for the pets if they want to see them. But those things are things that you should think about when you're thinking about a separation, and plan your separation. You know, some you just can't really just up and tell them I'm going to leave and go, because that won't work. You have to plan step by step how you're going to leave and when you're going to leave. What's the best time to leave? And have people who help you. And you need people to help you. And even law enforcement and your therapist and people like that will help you with that situation. But you need to seek your legal advice from a lawyer, and they will tell you what you can and cannot do. And I suggest that you do that too, because that's very important. And there are other odd behaviors that uh, BPD people do that I will probably be talking more about in other videos, but one thing that I want to mention is mine always thought that when I was trying to help her by getting her treatment, she thought that I was punishing her for what she was doing, which wasn't true. I was just trying to seek help so that she could live as normal of a life as she possibly could. And right now, things are very peaceful since she's got on this new medication, and she's found out that we have signed her up for Social Security disability, and she's very happy right now. The medicine is doing really good, and she's able to cooperate and stay on her treatment, and she has a doctor now and a nurse practitioner that she goes and sees, which is excellent. And I just am praying that she keeps this up. And that's another thing, if you are a religious type person, praying is a very good thing. It's a very good tool to pray for them and pray for yourself. And there's one thing that is kind of controversial that I recommend you do, but it works, and it may be the best tool that you'll ever have, and that is lying to them. Now, I know you're going to say, oh, no, you can't do that. You've got to be honest. Well, there's times when a good lie will make all the difference in your life. And they don't need to know everything. There's things in your life that they don't need to know about. And it's best that they don't. Ours, if they knew everything, would just flip out. She'd be flipping out all the time. So I'm suggesting that you do lie or withhold information, if you want to call it that. But it can be the best tool in the world. Like, for instance, you tell your spouse, I'm going to take the kids to a babysitter for a while, and I'm going to go job hunting, when you're going to go to a spa for relaxation or something, or you're just taking the kids away so they can have time away from the spouse or partner. And just, making up things is not wrong in this case. And I do recommend that you try that sometime, because It will help you in your life. Believe me, it will. And always, always have a significant other or a therapist that you can talk to about these things. Because talking about them to somebody who understands makes all the difference in the world. It has for me, because when I first knew about this disorder, witnessed it firsthand, I knew about it for years ago when I took psychology in college. But witnessing it firsthand is a whole new ball game, and you need somebody who understands and can help you feel better about yourself and about what you're doing, and let you know that you're doing the right thing and that you're not crazy. You're just being driven crazy. Because it's a sad thing to say, but a BPD person will never change. They will never get better. And you can only learn how to deal with them. And they can only learn how to deal with the diagnosis, if they will. Getting them to treatment is very, very hard. This last time when she went into the hospital, we had to have her arrested because she was kicking in the windows of our basement, and she was beating on the door and kicking the door, wanting in, and she was just causing a ruckus. So they took her in, and we had to bail her out so that she could go to the hospital. And she was there for 3 days and got good treatment, and she also got a new diagnosis. And knowing all their diagnosis is a good thing. Some BPDs have diagnoses that haven't been made yet. Some BPDs aren't even diagnosed with the BPD. And another BPD they can have is bipolar disorder, which gets confused a lot with borderline personality disorder, but they are two different things. I even heard that in the hospital one time, a nurse telling somebody else that they were the same, but they're not. They're totally different things. A mood swing and a BPD by borderline personality disorder can last for days, and then they will swing the other way. But bipolar is usually within a few hours they're different. And that's all they do is their mood swings. A BPD is more complicated. A borderline personality disorder is more complicated. They have a plethora of emotions. And I had heard one time, I'd heard a doctor say that they should call it emotional control disorder, because they have a problem controlling their emotions. And they do. Any emotion they have is usually an overreaction. They overreact being sad. They overreact anger. They overreact something that you do, or overreact to something that you do. And they may see a gesture of goodwill as an insult. And it's just so hard to deal with. And I'm hoping that these videos that I'm making can help you understand them better and know what to do. And I will offer advice as I go along on what to do. But the things that I recommend that you do right now is that you find yourself a really good therapist that understands borderline personality disorder, and you take care of yourself. You think of you, because a borderline personality disorder person will want you to think of them 100%, and you can't do that. You have to take care of you and do things that make you happy. and not constantly be at the feet of the borderline personality person, because they will drag you down. And I mean, they will drag you down to the depths of the lowest that you can be. I know because I've been there. And uh, I recommend that if you're considering separating from your spouse or your partner, that you do see a lawyer and your therapist, and they will help you to make the split, because it's important that if they're not going to change, then you must make changes in your life that will help you. This is one time when you've got to think of yourself, and you've got to think of where you're going to go. You've got to plan things like that. And a lawyer and a therapist and your law enforcement agencies will all help you with this decision. And I wish you the best of luck in anything that you do. And until we see you next time with my next video, uh, have a great day. Take care of yourself and plan that facial or spa day or whatever you want to do for yourself, or do something that makes you happy, even if it's going and seeing a funny movie or whatever it is that you want to do that makes you happy. So until next time, I wish you all the best, and I hope all your days are peaceful. Goodbye till next time. And make sure that you subscribe to my channel and click the like button, because that really helps me feel good about myself, that I'm really helping somebody. So see you next time.